Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to discuss the weather conditions throughout the country during each month of the year. We'll go through from January right through to December. Obviously the weather varies immensely whether you're in Chiang Mai or right down the south in Phuket of Thailand. So we'll discuss this as well, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. Right, let's get on with and start with the first month, January. January is one of the coldest months in Thailand. Now cold, it's not really cold, it's about 77 to 80 degrees, kind of average temperature. Obviously it goes above this and below this. The mornings can be quite cool if you're bombing around on a motorbike up in Chiang Mai or Chiang Rai, then yes, you will need a jacket on or a jumper on for sure and some jeans on if you're bombing around there in the morning for a few hours. So, later on it would warm up and even down towards Bangkok, it can get cool around this time. This is kind of the coolest time of year. Now, it's not really cold, but it is cooler than what is normal in Thailand average. There's not really any rain in the country at this time of year. It is a great time of year. It is kind of tourist central though, so there'll be tourists everywhere in January. It is very much the high season. They have the New Year celebration, so it'll be packed during that time. We can get a bit of pollution around this time of year. It kind of starts normally late January, but it had started this year quite early. We had to have a bit of pollution, so it's what they call the smoky season. That normally starts kind of next month, depending where you live in Thailand, obviously. Where I am round about Bangkok, it usually starts, there's normally a bit of pollution after Christmas, after New Year. In January, there is a bit that starts, and this year's been particularly bad, to be honest with you, all over the country. On to February. February is similar to January with temperatures, but they start to rise a little bit halfway through the month. There's not really any rain still in February, there's no rain anywhere in the country. As far as I'm aware, maybe there is in some places, but I've not seen much rain throughout February. The temperatures are similar. They go up a little bit, but towards the middle of February. Obviously, it varies immensely throughout Thailand where you're living. One thing to consider is it's Chinese New Year, so it gets very, very busy during Chinese New Year. There's a lot of Chinese tourists that come over to Thailand, so hotels will be very expensive during that time. So just be aware of this if you're coming over. It's still pretty much high season, there's still a lot of tourists around during that time as well. January, February, they're both very, very similar with regard to prices for hotels and things around this time. It is very much high season. Places like great place to go on holiday during this time would be like Koh Chang. That would be a great island to go. There'll be absolutely no rain there, clear blue skies, but it gets absolutely ridiculously busy at this time of year there. And this is a very popular time to come, January and February, to Thailand. So moving on to March, you have the smoky season around this time, March, April time. This is worse up in the north and out in the countryside. You get a lot of people burning the crops off. So the smoke goes across, so pollution's pretty bad. It gets very, very bad up in the north of Thailand, so it's probably a place I wouldn't go during certain times of year. This time in particular, March. April, I wouldn't go up there because of the smoky season. We get it all over Thailand, but it's definitely worse in certain areas. I think it's a bit better as you go down south on the islands. Koh Samui would be, Koh Chang, Koh Samui, Phuket. I think them places are a lot better. They don't have as much, but it can affect everywhere in the country, guys. There's still no rain anywhere in the country. Well, you might have the odd storm, but generally the rain hasn't started by now. But the clouds will start building up a little bit. I think, in March time, you get a bit more clouds than you would do in February. So February, just clear blue skies, but March, you get a bit more cloud cover as well. But wall-to-wall sunshine still, guys. And the temperature is starting to creep up. You're going to be well over in the 90s, in March. So it's starting to creep up then quite a lot. Moving on to April. April is Songkran. If you don't know what Songkran is, it's a huge water festival in Thailand. So during this time, it is extremely hot. Please come to the Songkran festival. It's amazing, but it is hot at this time of year. But it's a great time to be in Thailand. It's such a fun festival. Probably the best festival in Thailand, I would say. Fantastic for the kids. It's fantastic to experience. Now, Is there any rain at this time of year? Now, certain parts of the country, yes, there can be some rain starting in April, but it's normally a little bit, not too much. It can be a tiny bit of rain just starting, but generally not too much. Around Bangkok, it has been known to have a little bit of rain around Songkran time. So, yeah, in the 12 years I've been living here, I've definitely seen it. So we still have the smoky season in April as well, so there's still smoke lingering around. It's a bit annoying sometimes that, but depending where you're living in Thailand as well. But out in the countryside, I say it's usually worse out there. So May time, yeah, it's still bloody hot like April. It's very, very similar, 95 to 100 degrees every day kind of thing in this time of year. The rain does start about mid-May. I mean, it varies immensely where you are in Thailand, but, around Bangkok time, it can start middle of May time. Usually, in my experience, it's been early June. But it varies every year. Some years it's earlier, some years it's later, some years it starts right at Songkran time, but then goes right through. So it totally depends. It does vary every year. As I say, this is the start of the monsoon season in most of Thailand, but it starts slowly, usually, you get an odd day or two, then not rain for a few days, and then, okay, a bit more rain, and then, and it kind of gradually builds over the next few months, but I'll explain now. Moving on to June, just hot again, 95 to 100 degrees again. It's bloody hot still. From April, it just warms up and stays kind of similar kind of temperatures. More rain coming, so it's starting to build. There's more clouds in the sky, so you haven't got them clear blue skies, but you get great sunsets. This time of year now, when the rainy season, you can get fantastic sunsets because the weather's changing a bit, so you get more clouds, so it's a cool time for that. Because it started raining, the waterfalls start to get a bit fuller, so if you go and visit waterfall, it's quite a good time because it's starting to fill up. They're not too crazy yet, but they're starting to get some water in the waterfalls. If you go in the waterfalls in the dry season, some of them are a bit crappy because there's not that much water there, guys. But obviously you can't go in the height of the monsoon season, but just when there's a bit, just started the rains, that's a good time to go because it's just starting to build up in the waterfall. So it looks really nice there and starting to look more beautiful. Obviously down south, if you're doing water sports, snorkeling and scuba diving, these kind of water sports. To think about, okay, we're having the rain now and cloud cover, so you haven't got crystal clear blue skies and calm water, so your water's going to be a bit more choppy during, June, July, August this time. So it's not the best time for snorkeling or the best time for scuba diving or, going on boats, it might be a bit more choppy. Some of the islands get, some very remote islands, the boats don't even go over to them at that particular time, during monsoon season. They have to be careful because of the choppiness of the waves. There's something to just consider. It's obviously a better time of year for, cheap deals in hotels, as soon as you get May, June time is, a good time for, cheap accommodation, and you're not really in the peak monsoon season, which is coming, I'll explain next, in July. So moving on to July, yes, now we're getting a lot more rain, okay, so there's going to be more rainfall. You still get clear blue skies, some days it's not always raining, and when it does rain, it's usually an hour, 2 hours, then stops, but it does vary. Sometimes it'll rain a week non-stop, so it isn't always guaranteed, and depends where in the country you are. I'm talking mainly around my area, which has been around Bangkok area. Okay, now if you go to Koh Chang in July, then suddenly, I've done it before, I know from personal experience, July, August, September, there's a lot of rain on Koh Chang. I'll give you an example. I went to Koh Chang in August. I've been once, I'll never go again in August because it rained every day. It was cold and windy. So, certain places in Thailand, you've got to pick the right time to go, else you can have not as good experience. Yeah, I still had fun there. I went for walks and stuff, but it was a bit miserable, to be honest with you. So yeah, July, August, September, kind of combine them together because it's the height of kind of the rainy season, especially August and September. This is where we get most of the rain, I think. I've seen around Bangkok especially. That's when we get most of the rain. It is quite rainy at this time of year. Obviously better deals on hotels. It clears the air a bit, so there's no pollution at this time of year. It's a good time because, all the air's nice and clear. June, July, August, all kind of clears through. Temperature, but it'd still be 90s, it'd still be like 30 degrees or something like this around Bangkok area and around Thailand, so you don't get that cool weather anymore. In August and September, because the rain has been building over, you know, since June, then usually, you know, there's starting to be floods in certain places. You can have a lot of flooding, depends year to year. You know, there's a famous flood in Thailand in 2011. Yeah, when I was traveling in Thailand in 2011, I was here for 2 months. It was the year before I lived here permanently, and you know, when I traveled to Bangkok, the floods were very, very bad. That year was particularly bad. Even my mate who was working in a school, his school shut down for 6 weeks because the whole school had flooded, basically. So he spent like 6 weeks in his apartment. So yeah, this does happen in Thailand, so it does vary year to year. Hopefully it won't happen to you guys if you come over, but you know, during the monsoon season there is the chance of extreme flooding, guys, so I'll just warn you. Depends where you're coming in Thailand, but I've only seen really bad flooding that one time in 2011. So yeah, you take your chance, I think. Now, something else to consider, the monsoon season down south of Thailand is very different time to the other parts of Thailand. So places like Phuket, Koh Samui, Koh Tao, their monsoon season starts a lot later. It starts about October to December, guys. So if you're planning on going to one of the islands like Samui or Koh Tao, then yeah, that's not a good time to go there. You know, it's going to be monsoon season there. So as I say, it does vary. Just do your research, and it depends what area of Thailand you're going to, guys. But if you're going like somewhere like Hua Hin, you know, a lot of people come to Hua Hin. You know, Hua Hin is a very low rainfall in Thailand. You know, it's one of the lowest places for rainfall in the whole of Thailand. And one of the highest places is Koh Chang, the highest rainfall, and Ranong province, okay, which is down Phuket way. No, it's not Phuket, but it's north of Phuket, down that way. So they're two of the wettest places in Thailand. So yeah, something to consider. And also down in Phuket, the rainy season goes on a lot longer. So down somewhere like Phuket, you know, there is rain throughout the year, you know, probably 8-9 months of the year it's raining down there. Yeah, not all the time. Obviously it has a shower, you know, a couple of hours, then stops, and that's it. But there is a lot more rainfall in places like that. So you just need to do your research, guys, where you're going to. This will affect you if, you know, you're coming here to retire. You know, a lot of people coming here permanently to retire. Then, you know, is Phuket a good option? I don't know. Do you want to always have rain? You know, the rainy season does go on and on, and there's a lot more rainfall down there. But that does make the place more lush. So maybe it looks more beautiful, but it depends what you're after, guys. But somewhere like Hua Hin, you know, the rainfall is a lot less. They're just things to consider, guys, and things to look at if you're thinking about coming here in retirement, that is. If you're coming for a holiday, then it doesn't matter quite so much. September is basically the rainy season still, you know, hot temperatures, cloudy skies, you know, could be flooding. You know, so just pick your places wisely. If you're coming here in July, August, September, pick your place wisely where you're going to for a holiday, guys. Okay, moving on to October. October, okay, the rain begins to stop. Now, usually about the middle of October, depending where you live in Thailand, but around about Bangkok, it's usually about mid-October. So this could be actually a good time to come, sometimes towards the end of October, beginning of November. The temperatures are still similar. They've gone down a little bit, but they're still similar. They don't really go down much until November, really, mid or late November. So they're still hot and humid. Yeah, and this is suddenly going into a better time. In November is like the tourist season, you know. It's, you know, the rain stopped in November. Blue skies have come. The rain stopped, but it's suddenly becoming high season, you know, and the prices are going up because people know it. They're suddenly going into the high season, and, you know, hotels get booked up, get very, very busy. And it's a great time of year to come. It's lovely because the whole country is lush because it's just finished the rainy season. So there's a hell of a lot of, you know, rain throughout the whole country. It's pretty much stopped apart from down in Phuket and apart from down in Samui and Koh Tao, where it's still going on. But so everywhere is very lush. The waterfalls are like beautiful and full, and you know, it's a good time of year to come at that time, I think, guys. Then December is tourist season. You know, you got Christmas. It gets very, very busy during December. Hotels get booked up, clear blue skies, no rain. It's a great time to come. But down in, you know, Samui and Koh Tao, still maybe a bit of rain down there. So depending where you're coming to in Thailand, guys. If this has helped you out, guys, just please press the subscribe button. It's free to do. Hope you enjoyed the information. The climate varies throughout the whole country. There are microclimates that go on throughout the whole country. So don't take it exactly, it's going to be like this, but this is a good general guide of some of the different areas and what to expect when you come out to Thailand during them certain months, guys. Hope it helps you out, and we'll see you next week, guys. Take it easy.